The brake pads that stop your Toyota, your Honda, your Ford, the ones bolted onto that car at the factory before it ever reached the dealer lot, are made by a company most people have never heard of. And here's the part that should bother you. You can buy that same company's pads right off the shelf for a fraction of what a dealership will charge you. Almost nobody does, because the name on the box sounds like nothing. It doesn't run a Super Bowl ad. It isn't stacked at eye level at the end of the aisle. It just quietly makes the brakes for 11 of the biggest car companies on earth and then sells its own pads to anyone who knows enough to ask. This video names 5 brake brands hiding in plain sight. Most drivers have heard of one of them, maybe 2, and the 5th name on this list isn't a recommendation at all. It's a warning. Here's the thing, nobody standing behind that parts counter is ever going to explain to you. There is a difference between a brand that is famous and a company that actually makes the part. Those are 2 completely different things. The famous brand pays for the advertising, the shelf space, and the name you recognize when you walk in. The company that actually makes the part just makes the part. It ships one version to the Automakers assembly line, and it ships another version to the store under its own quiet label, and it lets the famous names fight over the marketing. And brakes are the one place on your entire car where this matters most, because your brakes are the single system standing between you and whatever is stopped in front of you. Think about that. People will spend $300 on tires without blinking, and then let a service writer pick whatever brake pad happens to carry the fattest markup that week. And the markup is the whole game. A brake pad that costs a shop $25 can land on your final invoice at $185. That is not an exaggeration. That is more than a 600% markup on a part you could have bought yourself from the very same maker for less than you tipped the waiter at breakfast. So before we get to the 5 names, you need to see the one number that started this entire conversation. And if this is the kind of thing you wish somebody had told you 20 years and a few $1,000s ago, do yourself a favor and subscribe, because that is exactly the kind of thing this channel exists to tell you. A woman took her Hyundai Tucson in for a routine brake job. The dealership looked at it and quoted her $850. She got a second opinion. A mobile mechanic did the exact same job. Same front pads, same rotors, for $395. And when he broke the bill down on camera, the parts alone were $228. Everything above that was labor and markup. Another driver said his dealer quoted him $1,600 for all 4 rotors and pads. He bought the parts himself for $300 and did it in his own driveway. Now, not everyone can turn a wrench, and there is nothing wrong with paying a good shop to do good work. But understand what that $850 quote was actually buying. It was not buying you better brakes. In a great many cases, the pad in the expensive box and the pad in the cheap box come off related production lines, made by the same short list of companies. Because here is the secret the shelf hides from you. There are only so many factories on this planet that actually manufacture brake friction. The logo on the box is marketing. The friction material inside the box is chemistry, and that chemistry comes from a far shorter list of names than you would ever guess standing in that aisle. 5 of those names are about to change how you shop for the rest of your life. The first name is the one hiding in the most obvious place of all, because it makes the brakes for 11 car companies, and almost nobody buys it on purpose. Akebono. It is a Japanese company. The word means dawn, and it has been making brakes since 1929. It entered the American market in 1980, and it calls itself the originator of low-dust ceramic brake technology. But here is the part that matters most. Akebono is a factory brake supplier to Ford, to General Motors, to Honda, Toyota, Nissan, Subaru, Mazda, Volvo, Stellantis, and more. 11 automakers in total. If you drive an American car, a Japanese car, or a European car, there is a very real chance the brakes that came on it from the factory were made by this one company you've never heard of. And the pads Akebono sells you at the parts counter, the Pro ACT line, the Euro line, the Performance line, are not shipped in from overseas. They are made right here in plants in Kentucky and South Carolina by American workers by the same company the automakers trust to stop their cars coming off the assembly line. The Elizabethtown, Kentucky plant alone has employed close to 1,400 people Now I have to be straight with you here, because this is exactly where most videos like this one quietly lie to you. The pad you buy off the shelf is not always the identical part number that rolls down the factory assembly line. It is their aftermarket recipe, engineered to the same standard, validated the same way, built by the same company, but built for the repair market. Same maker, same engineering, not always the exact same part. That is the honest version of this story, and it is still one of the best deals in the entire aisle. And here is the fact that should genuinely make you sit up in your chair. In 2009, Akebono bought Bosch's North American brake factories. The plants that had been building brakes under one of the most trusted names in the entire world, this quiet Japanese company simply took them over. Hold on to that because it matters again in a few minutes. A front axle set of Akebono runs you somewhere between $60 and $100, depending on your vehicle. That is the premium end of this entire list, and it is still less than a third of what that dealership wanted for the Hyundai. The second name is the one that is quietly number one, and almost nobody knows it. Wagner. It has been around for more than a century. It started in St. Louis, Missouri. It became the official brake supplier to Studebaker back in 1946, and it patented the dual master cylinder that made modern braking safer for everyone. Today, Wagner is the single largest brake pad maker for passenger cars in all of North America. Number one, and you have almost certainly walked right past it on the shelf, reaching for something in a shinier box. Wagner is owned by Tenneco now, one of the true giants of the parts world, and its OEX line is engineered and manufactured in the United States with a galvanized backing plate so the pad won't rust and rattle itself apart before the friction even wears down. A front set runs under $50, and its thermo-quiet line can be found for as little as $20. Now, in the interest of telling you the whole truth and not just the flattering half, Wagner did get into trouble with the Federal Trade Commission a few years back over an advertisement claiming its pads could stop you a certain number of feet sooner. The FTC never said the pads were unsafe. They said the company couldn't prove that specific claim, so I won't repeat the number. I will simply tell you it is the best-selling brake pad brand in North America, made in America, for roughly a third of the dealer's price, and let you weigh that for yourself. The third name is the one the professionals know and the public has never heard spoken out loud. NRS Brakes, made by a company called NUCAP up in Toronto, Canada. For more than 25 years in over 90 countries, NUCAP has manufactured the backing plates and the attachment technology that other brake companies build their pads on top of. They are, quite literally, the supplier's supplier. And a few short years ago, they started selling directly to you and me. What sets them apart is galvanized steel. Every single NRS pad is coated so that it physically cannot rust. And that matters far more than it sounds, because up in the Salt Belt states, a rusted backing plate is exactly how a pad peels apart and fails years before it should. It is 100% made in Canada, completely copper-free, and it won an Industry Innovation Award for the technology. It is not the cheapest pad on this list. A front set runs around $100 to $135, but the whole pitch is that you buy it one time instead of three. For anyone who drives where the roads get salted every winter, that is the right kind of expensive. The fourth name is one you absolutely do recognize, and that is precisely why you need to hear this next part. Bosch. Everyone trusts Bosch. And Bosch will tell you that its quiet cast pads are built using original equipment friction formulas, the real factory recipes. That part is true, and the pads themselves are genuinely good, quiet, and cheap, at around $45 a set. But here is the twist the box will never mention. Bosch actually got out of the business of manufacturing foundation brake pads years ago. Remember those North American brake factories I told you Akebono bought back in 2009? Those were Bosch's factories. Bosch today is a powerhouse in brake electronics, anti-lock systems, stability control, but the finished friction pad is a different story than the marketing suggests. So Bosch is a great name selling a genuinely good value pad. Just know exactly what you are buying, and now you are the person in the room who does. Which brings us to the fifth name, and the fifth name is not a name to buy. It is a warning, and it is the single best reason a famous logo should never be the thing you trust with your life. Here is the part that should stop you cold. Three of the most trusted names in the entire history of brakes. Raybestos, founded in 1902 along with Centric and StopTech, are being shut down as we speak. All three of them belong to a single parent company called First Brands Group, and First Brands had grown at a staggering pace, buying up more than 15 companies and swelling its revenue from around $1 billion to nearly $5 billion in just a few years. But it did it on a mountain of debt. In September of 2025, First Brands filed for bankruptcy, one of the largest collapses the auto parts world has ever seen, with liabilities running into the tens of billions of dollars, an interest bill of more than $900 million a year, and a criminal investigation into billions of dollars of allegedly fabricated invoices. Its founder resigned, and by January of 2026, the company announced it was winding those brake brands down entirely. Now think hard about what that actually means. Raybestos invented the woven brake lining back in 1906. That is 120 years of history, a name your father and his father trusted, and a name that old still could not protect a single buyer from a parent company that loaded itself with debt and let the quality quietly slide. Reports of failing rotors and calipers had been stacking up for years before the collapse ever made the news. The logo on the box stayed exactly the same the entire time. What was inside the box did not. And that, right there, is the entire lesson of this video in one story. The famous name on the front only tells you who paid for the marketing. It does not tell you who made the part, where they made it, how good it is this year, or whether they'll still be standing next year. So here is where all of this finally lands. The pad that stops your car is made by a far shorter list of companies than the brands on that shelf would ever want you to believe. Akebono makes the brakes for 11 automakers and will sell them right to you, built in Kentucky and South Carolina. Wagner is the #1 pad in all of North America, made in America, hiding behind the plainest box in the aisle. NRS is the supplier's supplier, galvanized to outlast the road itself. Bosch is a strong value once you actually know what you're holding, and Raybestos is the permanent reminder that a 100-year-old logo guarantees you absolutely nothing. None of this means the expensive brand is a scam, and none of it means you should cheap out on the one system that stops your car. It means the word printed on the box and the company that actually made the part are two entirely different things. And only one of them is what brings you to a stop at the bottom of a hill. The next time a service writer slides a quote across the counter and taps the line for premium pads, you'll know there is another name underneath that name, usually a better one, and usually sitting right there on the same shelf for half the price. If this saved you money or just showed you something that Parts Counter never would, do me one favor and hit that subscribe button, because pulling back the curtain like this is exactly what we do here every single week.